Hi,
Hi, Archie.
how are you today?
I'm great. How are you today?
Good.
Was it good to get back to school?
Yeah.
Great. What is your favorite class at school? Is it Chinese or math or science or
Science.
science? I can see that. All right. Well, science was always my favorite class too. Let me share my screen. So we have one page left, less than one page left for chapter 12. Okay, so they are all pretty happy right now because they just worked together to figure out a solution to the problem of the coral jewelry. And their solution will help but not hurt the coral in the coral reef. But then, and so Jody is very happy, right? And she says to Harper, see what happens when you talk it out, right? She had really been encouraging Harper to talk about it and let the whole team work together on solving the problem. But Morgan shushed her. That's when he says, shh. Jody shot him a dirty look. A dirty look is like, you're like irritated or frustrated with someone. And she says, I was just talking about the importance of communication, she said crossly, and you shush me? So she did not think it was good timing for Morgan to tell her to be quiet. She thought what they were talking about was important. And they were talking about the importance of communication. Communication is when we are sharing our ideas with other people. So it's talking and listening, reading and writing. It's when people are sharing their ideas with each other. Then she saw that Morgan's eyes had gone wide with panic. He had seen something in the next room that had frightened him. What is it? Jody whispered. You look like you've seen a ghost. Not a ghost, Morgan said. A ghast. A ghast. And as if he had summoned it, summoned means to call, say, come on in. A pale, menacing specter drifted in and hovered in the doorway. Well, a specter would be like a ghost, something that is just kind of hanging in the air that I think you can see right through it. So a specter might be another word for a spirit, and it is fiction. So this is not something that is real. Menacing means it wants to hurt you. It's like hostile. So it's not there to do something good or helpful. And hovered is for things that are not touching the ground. So they're in the air, they're in midair, and they stay in the air over something. And when they stay there, they don't drift up and away, and they don't go down and land on the floor. They just kind of stay there. That's called hovering. And here is the picture of the ghast. Well, let's see what we found out about that looking at Google. So here it says that the ghast, okay, is a large, white, floating, ghost-like, hostile mob. And it can live in the nether. Oh, it says it lives in the nether, which shoot explosive fireballs at the player. This does not sound good. This is also the second reference to the nether, and I do not like the idea of the nether. The other mob that we learned about that usually spawns in the nether is the zombie pigmen. And now we have a ghast. So both the ghast and the zombie pigmen, I don't think are supposed to be in the ocean monument. They should be in this place called the Nether, which I think of like inside a volcano that is erupting, lots of fire. Not a friendly or safe place to be. And so the Ghast is a hostile mob, and it's floating, and it's like a ghost, and it can shoot explosive fireballs. That definitely does not sound good to me. And here it tells us it will spawn in, I think this means in the Nether. I don't know what all of these Minecraft places are. And the behavior is hostile. So here is one look at it, and here is another look at it. And it's in the doorway. And of course, they end chapter 12 with this problem. I really hope that they start chapter 13 with solving this problem so that we don't have to go back to the real world and not know what happens, because I want to know what happens. Okay, chapter 13 looks like it has one of these zombie pigmen up here. And it says, Pigmen, Pigmen everywhere. And then the Ghast did blink. That's such a strange title for a chapter. I have no idea what that means. Well, it looks like we're going to stay in the Minecraft world for chapter 13. So we should be able to find out what happens with this Ghast, this menacing ghost-like specter drifting, hovering in the doorway. In all her years of playing Minecraft, Harper had never visited the Nether. She knew it was a dark and scary place. It was full of dangerous mobs and ghasts. That's hard to say, ghast. You know, it reminds me of, what was that word we were talking about the other day? Oh, I was telling you about the movie Fantastic Beasts, and beast ends with the ST blend, beast. And when you want more than one, you have to go beast. And this is the same thing. This is just like it. Boy, this is hard to say. It has this blend here. So this is just the G sound, Ghast, ghast. But then you have to add this extra consonant onto the end. Ghasts, ghasts. That's tricky. All right, so the ghasts were perhaps the most dangerous of them all. Yeah, I agree. If it can shoot fireballs, like a ball made of fire at you, that sounds pretty not good, right? Pretty dangerous. Zombie pigmen were out of place in the underwater monument. They were a puzzle. So a puzzle is like a mystery. It means we have a question, but we don't have the answer. So it's a question. Why are the zombie pigmen here in the ocean monument when they are not supposed to be? And we don't know the answer to that. So it's a puzzle. But a ghast here, that was a trap. Someone had lured them into a fight they might not win. So we need to really understand this verb to lure someone into a trap. Well, the word lure, you and I talked about back when we were reading Geronimo Stilton, Hero Mice. And so I get to show you my famous lure picture again. So here it comes. We need water and we need a person. And we need our person to have a fishing rod. It's going to be pink. Oh, let me give him a face. Okay. And then at the end of the fishing rod, let's see, maybe I'll find some black. There's going to be some fishing line that goes down into the water. And then let's make a nice, how about a nice orange fish? Okay. And the orange fish is not going to go over to a piece of string and say, yummy, lunch. So the fisherman needs to put a lure onto the, what color should my lure, my worm be? I really should use brown, right? I mean, what would be a good color for a worm? Oh, well, I'm just going to use green. So here, let me make my little worm. Here it is. There, that's my worm. I don't know if we'll be able to see it or not. But now, we can kind of see it, not really, but it's right here. So now the fish will see the worm and say, yummy, lunch. So now the fish has a reason to swim over here and to take a nice big bite of the worm. But you know, I forgot the most important part, because guess what the worm, so the worm right here, we could call it bait, or we could call it the lure. It's the thing that the fish wants. It's the thing that is tempting for the fish. And the fish is going to be thinking, I really want that. And so it's going to kind of lure the fish over. But hiding behind the worm is this thing. What would this be? This right here is the hook, the metal hook. So that when the fish bites the worm, the hook gets caught in the fish's mouth and the fish can't get the hook out. And so the person will feel the fishing line kind of tugging as the fish is trying to pull away. And they have this little tug of war fight. And the person will reel up the string, the fishing line. And when it comes up out of the water, the fish will come with it. But the trick to fishing is to get the fish to bite the hook. Now, a fish is not going to want to bite a hook just to bite a hook. That's not very tasty or yummy. There's nothing there that's lunch. So you need the lure. So the word lured means you want to tempt someone to do what you want them to do. You want to tease them with, I have something that you want. Just keep following me. Just keep following me. Keep following my lure. Come a little closer, a little closer, a little closer. And then you finally get them where you want them and you trap them in the trap. So this is what Morgan thinks. Morgan thinks that someone teased them or lured them with the treasure map, because how tempting is that? That's exciting. What will they find? And he thinks that this bad person, this bad character, has been luring them across the ocean. Come a little closer, come a little closer, till you get to X marks the spot, which is the ocean monument. And then slam, they're trapped in the ocean monument with these very bad things that are ghasts. And well, I don't know that we can say the zombie pigmen are bad, because yesterday we read that they are not hostile, but the ghast definitely is, and the guardians definitely are. So Morgan is not happy right now. He thinks that someone had lured them in here and planned this whole thing and set this whole thing up, because they should not have found any ghasts in the ocean monument or any zombie pigmen. Those two things should have been in the nether, not in the ocean monument. If I understand correctly, all of this Minecraft stuff, I'm just kind of learning about it as I read. Well, the creature, the ghast, looked like a ghost with a white body and dark slits for eyes. 9 large tentacles. When I see the word tentacle, I think of an octopus or a squid. Well, the ghast has 9 large tentacles hung from its body as it drifted towards them. Dun, 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 dun. So you can see it here. Okay, let's turn the page and see what happens. Whoa, I have no idea what's going on. Oh, do you think that's a fireball? Do you think that's a picture of the ghast shooting a fireball? That's what it looks like to me. Whoa. So I don't know. Jody says, maybe it's not hostile either. right? The zombie pigman's not. Maybe the ghast is not hostile either, said Jody. Remember, hostile means threatening. It wants to hurt you. It's not friendly. But Harper knew they wouldn't be so lucky. She drew her sword just as the ghast shot a fireball at Jody. Now, here where it says drew her sword, this verb drew is the past tense of the word draw. And you being an artist knows all about drawing. I have seen some of your amazing drawings, but this drew is not drawing a picture of a sword. This drew her sword means she took her sword out of the sheath and she's now ready to use it. Get back, she cried. Now, who is this she? And who is this she?
Harper.
That's right. Good. This is Harper. Get back, she cried, and she leapt in front of her friend. She swung her sword, and her timing was perfect. Phew, I like perfect timing. The rugged sword deflected the fireball. That means the fireball hit the sword, and then as the sword moved, it sent the, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of holding a baseball bat and hitting the ball. And so as the fireball came and the sword swung, it kind of hit the fireball and sent it flying. Let's see, it sent it soaring or flying across the room. For a moment, Harper felt a thrill of triumph. Triumph is when you say, I win. And that's a really great feeling. And a really great feeling is called a thrill. Then the fireball smashed into a group of zombie pigmen. Uh-oh, that might not be good. They flashed red with damage. They turned to look at her, and then they lifted their swords. I have a feeling that the zombie pigmen are not hostile unless they are attacked. And maybe they think they just got attacked. Maybe they are not smart enough to realize it was an accident. Well, let's see what Ash says. So they lifted their swords, the zombie pigmen. They think you attacked them, Harper, Ash warned. Okay, this is not good. We have to run, said Morgan. Is this getting too scary? Should we keep reading?
Yes.
All right, just want to check. Morgan led the way and Harper was right behind him. The pigmen followed in an undead stampede. Oh, I just hate this word, undead. Maybe I won't say it anymore. Maybe when I see it, I'll just say, The pigmen followed in an stampede. Stampede is when there's a whole crowd running that is like out of control. And you don't want to get caught in a stampede because you might get trampled on. People might be stepping on you because it's just so many people and it's kind of out of control. They grunted and growled. These are the pigmen. So there's so many. If they're running in a stampede, that's a little scary. They grunted and growled because I don't think they can speak, right? Oh, right, because they're not people, they're pigs. The ghast moaned as it trailed behind them. Harper wished she could shut her ears to the terrifying noises. Oh, Miss Camp wishes I could shut my mind to the terrifying noises I can hear in my mind. All righty. She, Harper, narrowly, that's a little hard to say, narrow, this is wide and this is narrow. So narrow is a space that is smaller than wide. So wide open space, narrows, right, like this, like a narrow river. Narrowly avoided means just barely avoided a pigman's blade. Everyone form a ring around Harper, Ash cried. The pigmen are only after her. Huh. A fireball, oh, because she's the one that swung her sword like a bat and sent the fireball into the pigmen. So they really only see Harper as a threat. A fireball crashed into the wall above their heads. So the fireballs are coming from the Ghasts, and when they hit them away, if they hit the pigmen, then they come after them with their swords. This whole thing is just crazy. Ooh, let's take a breath here and look at this picture. I'm trying to figure out, do you have any idea what this is a picture of?
Maybe many growing ball of energy.
A glowing ball of energy, like what they had inside the conduit. The first thing I thought when I looked at it was that it was this pretty rug hanging on the wall. My next thought was, maybe that's like a window and on the other side of it is fire. I'm wondering if it's fire, but glowing ball of energy sounds good too. Maybe it's something that can help them out of this problem, because I think they are really in a predicament. I've used this word a few times here in this book. A predicament is when you are in a problem and you cannot figure out a solution yet. Predicament. But their predicament is pretty big right now. I think a predicament is usually a little problem, and I think they kind of have a really big problem right now. Yeah, but the fire-breathing death squid, that's what they're calling the Ghast. A fire-breathing death squid, that's really funny to me, is after all of us, Poe shouted. We have to keep moving, said Morgan. As they hurried through the monument's vast halls, vast means very big, their pursuers, that's all of those mobs that are chasing them, fell behind. At first, Harper was relieved. Relieved is, phew, we're safe. They can't keep up with us. She thinks, we can outrun them. We can be faster. They can't keep up with us, she thought. But she knew they couldn't run forever. Eventually, they would come to a dead end, and then they would be trapped. They would be stuck. A dead end means you can't get out. You can't keep going forward, so you have to turn around and go back the way that you came. They rounded one corner, then another. The sounds of the pigmen faded. They're getting farther and farther behind them as the kids stepped into a large chamber. Chamber would be like a large room. There were wet sponges hanging from the ceiling. I remember when we were reading about the ocean monument, we read that this is one of the only places in Minecraft where they can find sponges. I don't know what a sponge is yet, but maybe they will explain it to us. But Harper's eyes were drawn to the doorway of darkest obsidian in the middle of the room. This must be a Minecraft thing because it doesn't make any sense to me. But first, I want to point out we have another use here of drawn. Drawn also comes from to draw. And again, just like when they drew their sword, drawn to the doorway has nothing to do with art. It is not using draw to mean drawing a picture. If your eyes are drawn to something, it means that you just feel like you need to turn your head and look at something. So Harper's eyes were drawn to the doorway of darkest obsidian. Obsidian is like completely black. I think it might be like a black rock, but it's very, very black. And it's in the middle of the room. And within that doorway, the air rippled and glowed. That's what we were looking at that looked like that glowing ball of energy. So there's this air that's rippling and glowing. Harper gasped.
It's a door to the nether.
Yeah, this sounds a little bit too scary for me. I don't know if we can keep reading, but let's see. Harper gasped at the sight. A portal, that's a doorway, to the nether, she said. Is that where all those mobs came from? Oh boy. I need to have a nice cool glass of water. It must be, Ash said, although I wonder if they came of their own free will or if someone brought them over. So she's wondering if the Ghasts and the zombie pigmen just decided, hey, let's go through this doorway from the nether into the ocean monument, or if someone said, hey, I want you to come with me, follow me through this doorway into the ocean monument. Maybe we should break the portal, said Poe, before anything else comes through. Well, you know, that's not a bad idea. All right, so that's what that is. That's a doorway to the nether. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know, Archie. Should we keep reading? I sure hope it gets less scary quickly because I'm ready to put a little star and wait till the next day.
No.
All right, let's see. I want to just see here. When's the end of this chapter? Oh, it's almost over, but I don't know if we have enough time. No, Harper said, this is just what we need. They better not be thinking of going to that portal into the nether. If they're thinking about going through that doorway into the nether, I am closing the book. They all turned to look at her. How is this a good thing? Asked Jody. The pigmen are after me. If I, Harper, travel to another dimension, the nether, they should stop being hostile. Then the rest of you will have a fighting chance against the Ghast. A fighting chance means you should be able to defeat the Ghast as long as the zombie pigmen aren't chasing you. And the only reason the zombie pigmen are chasing you is because they're mad at Harper. So Harper's like, if I leave, then the zombie pigmen won't have any reason to chase you anymore. They will leave you alone, and then you can take care of the Ghast. Well, they all shouted their disagreement, and it sounded like this. No way. It's too dangerous. You could run into more enemies. Harper silenced them with a wave of her hands. It's the only way, she said. I hit those pigmen with the fireball. I caused the problem. I have to fix it. Jody stepped forward and took Harper's hand. I don't like where this is going. Harper, haven't you learned anything? She asked. This is just like the coral problem. So this she is Jody. Jody's talking. She said, it's a problem that we all share. Okay, not just Harper's problem, but everybody's problem together. So we should share the solution too. Okay, we should work together as a team to solve this problem. You, Harper, do not need to think of this as your problem by yourself for you to solve by yourself, but with a team, we can put our heads together and we can figure this out together. Harper hesitated. Okay, so she paused and said, oh, I don't know. Maybe you're right. She usually is, Morgan said, not that I, her big brother, like to admit it. It's actually a good plan, Ash said. except for the part where you're in the nether alone. Oh, no, 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 no. It sounds like they're all going to go. Oh, no. Should we all go through the portal? Suggested Poe. I don't think so, said Morgan. If something went wrong, we would be stuck. I don't like the idea of splitting up. I don't like that either. I don't like that either. But in this case, it makes sense, Poe finished. The hideous groans of the pigmen grew louder. They were finding them. They're getting closer. The creatures would find them any moment now. I will go with Harper into the nether, Ash said quickly. The rest of you can use the opportunity to stop that Ghast. Oh, Archie. Next page. We're going to have to just stop here at the end of this chapter. Oh my goodness. Do we have the firepower to do that? Asked Jody. The firepower? What is firepower? That would be, I guess, looking at their inventory and their bows and arrows and all of the things they can use to try to defeat the Ghast. We never made more arrows. I've actually got an idea about that, said Poe. It's an idea Harper gave me. See, Jody said to Harper, what did I tell you? Harper nodded. Teamwork for the win, she said. I hope, she thought. Ah, Archie, I don't know. I don't know. When's the next time we're reading? Is it tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay, I hope so. I'm going to have a hard time paying attention to my work tomorrow because I really want to know what happens next. I have no idea. I have not looked ahead. I have not done your trick of looking ahead to see how the book finishes. I know nothing about what happens after this page. And I'm like, oh, is everyone going to be okay? Boy, this is a very exciting book. Are you sure you're not scared?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll keep reading tomorrow then.
Yeah.
All right, well then you know what time it is. You know what time it is. It is time to say so long.
BY, bye bye.
Cheddar Chip. Bye, Archie.
Bye. Bye.